So the topic I want to talk about, because a lot of people are assuming at this point that it's like a definite thing. Oh, I'm going to be playing Dragonflight 100%, blah, 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 this and that. And I think that many more people are starting to commit to it. But I think that there are plenty of people still like myself who are very cautiously optimistic with what they've seen and continue to be cautiously optimistic. The less is announced. Why do I say that? We are all hoping and praying, or at least I am, and I know that a lot of other people are, but for me in particular, I think, because this is what made me quit the game in Legion and in BFA in like the first month, is that there isn't going to be some fucking horse shit that you have to grind every week. And by some horse shit, I mean the Azerites of the world and the artifact powers of the world, and the kind of crap that you basically have to farm and you have to keep up with, doing things in the game that you don't want to do, doing your chores every week. I don't know what it's like in Shadowlands, how many things you're forced to do week in, week out, really, but because I'm still going to be back for a little while and I've just got my gear. But I don't want to be doing shit that I don't want to do. I just want to play PvP, you know what I'm saying? And that's all it really comes down to. So, yeah. That would be a fucking deal breaker for me, dude. So my question to people in the chat, and I suppose that I'm going to be talking about a little bit here in this video, is things like artifact power and Azerite and all that shite. Things that would really, really turn you off from Shadowlands and make you say, you know what? We can do without. You know, I can just skip this expansion, be happy as Larry, wait for the Riot MMO, play some Final Fantasy 14, do whatever the hell else it is you want to do, you know? What would make it a waste of time for you, you know, what would turn you off from the game? So that's my question to chat, that's my question to the comment section, all of that shit as well. So for me, yeah, the first one is the weekly grinding of horse shit. Like I said really, really quickly just now in the intro, Battle for Azeroth, I went into that expansion blind. It was the first expansion I ever went into blind, and that was a mistake. Azerite existed, and the Heart of Azeroth and all of that shite, and I quit after like 3 weeks, dude. I leveled 2 characters to max and almost immediately quit the game. And I didn't come back for 3.5 years. It put that bad of a taste in my mouth. It took me 3.5 years to renew my sub on retail again. You know what I'm saying? That's how fucking bad this shit is. And I think that it's this kind of crap that makes it so that if you miss a couple of weeks of WoW, you go on a holiday, or you just can't be asked to play the game for a few weeks, and you miss a few weeks of that, it just exponentially increases the likelihood that you're just going to say, you know what, I think I'm just done with WoW with this expansion. I'm just going to wait till the next patch or the next X-Pack or whatever, you know. Reverend says, I don't want classes to be completely broken and overtuned like they are in Shadowlands. It breeds the most toxic gameplay ever. That's fair enough. I've definitely experienced a little bit of that since coming back. It's actually a shock to me that we're in the last season of the expansion and it's so awful. And there are so many obvious, like, dude, I've been away from the game for 3.5 years. I've come back. It's so fucking obvious to me which classes are broken already. You know what I mean? I don't know why Blizzard don't just fix things. But I guess it's just like that with every expansion, man. It's just a dice roll. It's literally a dice roll. Sometimes Blizzard roll a 1. Sometimes they hit a 12 and we end up with Wrath of the Lich King and Pandaria. Or they roll a 1 or a 2 and we end up with Shadowlands, man. And that just feels like that's just a reality of WoW, you know? So maybe that's something you want to hold off from Dragonflight 4. Just get a look at the first couple of weeks of Arena. You're not missing that much, you know? Get a look at the first couple of weeks of Arena, kind of gauge things, and see if it's something that you actually want to, you know, level up in and jump into, you know? So, yeah, I think that's a perfectly understandable concern to have as well, man. Clavdiv says he hates time-gated stuff that takes 7 months to complete and require weekly participation. That would for sure be a turn off, yeah, so I guess it's in agreement with me about things like Azerite and crap like that and blah, blah, blah. If the new expansion feels anything like Legion, BFA, or Shadowlands, I'm just going to skip that BS again. Dude, yeah, Legion was a funny one, man. I lasted a bit longer in Legion, even with artifact power, just because it felt... The rest of the expansion felt so good to me. You know, I really liked Legion PvP, actually. Class halls felt really, really cool. Just the burnout, man. The burnout from artifact power grinding. It just depressed me. It just depressed me, man. It felt like, you know, weeks where I didn't have very long to play, I was just logging in to work some more. You know, I'd be really busy at work that week. I'd have a few hours a day to play. I'd log in and I'd just be doing fucking whale quests and other crap that I didn't want to do to fill up my goddamn artifact power bar, man. I despise that crap, man. Being Consumer says, I really hate things that I have to do instead of wanting to do. I had gear from Mythic Azerite armor from Raid and couldn't use it because my neck was too low level and I couldn't choose the traits. Malvone says the grinding shouldn't be a must-do thing, like rep mounts and transmog is fine. Yes, but why should you have to grind rep for months to get a meta item? Yes. Okay. in agreement with all of that shit. And that actually brings me on pretty smoothly to the next point. I've never experienced an endgame before, ever. And this might be because I just didn't play much of BFA, so maybe I missed some of this bullshit in BFA. But hitting max level in Shadowlands, I thought, oh, well, I guess it's time to hop in the battlegrounds then. How fucking wrong was I, dude, right? So after getting rolled, because I had like 25k health, and that's whatever you expect to get rolled in BGs, I started to realize, wait a minute, everyone has fucking legendaries. Everyone's got like some kind of like crazy 2-sets and 4-set PvE gear and blah, 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 and I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell? Like, is this just the game now? So what the fuck do I have to do to get all this crap? Well, it turns out I still had, like, I thought I was done leveling. I thought I was done questing, right, when I hit max level. No, dude. There was still, like, 20, 25 hours of campaign bullshit to do. And I still need to hit Revered with the fucking Enlightened to even start upgrading my Legendary Belt as well, And I can only imagine how much faster all of this stuff is for me because I'm arriving so late with catch-up mechanics. And I even had like Sophie, my wife was flying me around on a 2-person mount in Zereth Mortis to help me catch up. And I was like, fuck, man. Like, everyone's had to do this bullshit. And like, if you level on an alt, I'm assuming there wasn't catch-up mechanics at the beginning of the expansion. So you had to do it all again. Like, maybe there were some soft catch-up mechanics, and obviously there's a few more catch-up stuff now if you want to do it all again on a second character. So that's a little bit better, but for real, dude, Endgame should I feel like it just should be Endgame. I don't want to be doing fucking quests at Endgame, man. And I know they're trying to emulate Final Fantasy XIV, right, with the campaigns. That's what they're actually trying to do. They're trying to emulate the main story quest in Final Fantasy XIV, right, and keep you focused on a narrative. And they're expecting you to be interested in the story and follow along and build relationships with Jaina and Thrall and all of that crap and feel all good about yourself because you're learning the story as you go, and the story's meant to be the driving factor. But I don't think that that's what WoW's all about. I don't think it's almost ever been what WoW is all about. I think that honestly fucking 80%, if you're one of the 20% that don't do this, fair enough. If you love the fucking story, and you play WoW for the story and you like the main story quests and you take your time with them and stuff like that, and you like the campaigns, grand. It's awesome, But I feel like 80% of people in WoW skip every single cinematic and rush through fucking everything, and they just want to PvP, or they just want to run mythics, or they just want to raid, and that's all there is to it, I think that that's actually just the fact of the matter. WoW is a game where you're competing against others players all the time because all of the content is time-gated, meaning it becomes irrelevant eventually. Meaning that you have to fucking stay at the cutting edge of the curve, or you're not going to have a good time, because everyone's going to be doing triple your DPS and whatever. It's about rushing through shit for most people, Exidium says, I skip every cinematic, I just want a PvP, lol. Yeah, for PvPs in particular, and I think PvP is a minority by a lot in WoW, obviously, but every single fucking PvPer I know, man, skips everything instantly, with the exception of maybe Sophie. Yeah, but I think that's what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to emulate Final Fantasy XIV and keep the story going after Endgame and give you all this cool stuff to do. And, oh, look, you get a legendary at the end of it and blah, 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 But at the end of the day, people just want to PvP. People just want to raid. People just want to do what they want to do. Endgame is supposed to be that sandbox style of gameplay where you can just do the shit you want to do to pick up your gear and have a good time, man. It shouldn't be fucking running quests, dude. That's ridiculous. Now, why I don't think this is a deal breaker for Dragonflight, getting back to the topic at hand. I don't think this is a deal breaker for Dragonflight. Fair enough, if you want to make us run through fucking 15, 20 hours of extra story when we hit max level, fair enough. I'll be pissed off. I'll grit my teeth through it. I'll fucking whine about it every step of the way. If the rest of the game's good, fine. My only concern is don't fucking make me do that again, another character, man. And do not, whatever you do, don't put a goddamn legendary at the end of that shit. Don't fucking make it mandatory, because that's what you're actually doing. You're making it pseudo-mandatory, right? When you put like a legendary belt at the end of a fucking endgame quest chain that takes 20 hours, you're just depressing everybody for 20 hours because they have to get the belt. If not, they're not going to get invites to shit. That's how straightforward it is. And they're just gimping every group that they're in because they don't have the belt. They haven't gone through the suffering that everybody else went through, so they're gimping the group. Like, that shit is just fucking garbage, man. I just want to play the game. I don't care about the game story, since a lot of it happens outside of the game in books and stuff, says Bean Consumer. Yeah, let's be real. Most of us just watch the cinematics on YouTube, say, whoa, cool. and then we log in and we fucking go skipping through everything again. That's I feel like that's what most people do, you know. Sophie's actually saying the cutscenes this expansion were spectacular. Honestly, they actually were. Feels a bit sad that people skip them, but that's how most people play now. Yeah, it's just the meta of WoW, you know. It's the rush meta, and again, I'd say like a good 20% of players probably do watch all the cutscenes and have a great time doing that and taking things at their own pace. You know, I know that Caben does that, one of our friends, but most fucking people just don't. You know, most people just don't, man. So yeah, moves on to my next point, man. And I alluded to this a little bit as well, I suppose. Doing things again multiple times on ults and having another fucking ult unfriendly expansion where it just feels terrible and you've got to farm these legendaries on a second fucking character and do all this bullshit, all this campaign horse shit again, and blah 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 blah, and go through all that crap again. That's awful, dude. That's fucking awful. And you know what, man? Every time Blizzard add a system like Azerite or Artifact Power into the game as well, all they're doing is making it impossible to have two characters. But no, it's fucking crazy, dude. I haven't had an ult. I haven't actually had an ult that I played actively at Endgame since like Drano. You know? And even that was horrible because you had to do garrisons multiple times. Right? All the garrison scenarios and stuff, even though you hated it. You know? So even that fucking sucked. And it's like, that's been... How long ago was WoD? 6-7 years? Longer? It was a long-ass time ago, man. That's the point, okay? Like, the game's been ult-unfriendly for so long. So, what I'm coming down to is... Just make Dragonflight ult-friendly, dude. Just make it ult-friendly. Don't make us do a shitload of bullshit at Endgame that we don't want to do. Like, I'd really, really, really like to have ults again. You know what I mean? I'd really like to just be able to level 3, 4, 5 classes. I don't want them all to be capped out on gear. That's not what I'm asking for, man. But, you know, be able to pick one at the start of the season and play it in arena every now and then in just 2s or something and get the conquest gear and then maybe try in 3s if I'm really enjoying it, and that's it. Like, that'd be fine, you know, that'd be fine. And what's really interesting about that is that by Blizzard putting in less effort, right, into some fancy new system that they're going to cock up, because they always do, right, they put in less effort, they're actually expanding the game, because then you can experience the same content again 3, 4, 5, 6 times on multiple characters with multiple specs, and you get to enjoy things all like in a different way, you know? It actually makes the end game wider, if that makes sense. It's not as deep, but it's wider, right? When you're able to have ults in the game, man. So, Dragonflight, please be ult friendly. If not, I probably won't last the full expansion. I just won't, because yeah, it's been a long time since I've lasted even halfway through an expansion, to be honest. I'm surprised I landed as long as I could, lasted for as long as I could in Warlords of Draenor, which is about 8 months or something. So next up, and the final thing that I'm going to cover after reading Squirmy's message, which is I kind of ignore the peer pressure of rushing in everything, and I just take my time on the quests and cinematics. I'm a bit of a collector and enjoy the little bits, all of the aspects. I'm playing a game, I might as well have fun instead of stressing myself out. There you go, man. There you go. I do feel like you're in the minority because most people treat WoW as, I need to have more DPS than the guy beside me, or I need to be higher rated than the guy beside me. I need to have more item level than the guy beside me, you know? People are very much want to impress their friends and show off their big damage numbers and whatever, you know, or sick plays in PvP, you know? I feel like most people approach WoW from that kind of perspective. But yeah, your point of view is completely valid, man, for sure, dude. And more power to you, you know? And my last point that I want to bring up, and this wouldn't necessarily be a big turn-off for Dragonflight from the offset, because Blizzard are looking like they're going to allow this to happen, which I don't fucking like at all, and I don't understand why they do it, because it's just like a time bomb waiting to blow up in their face every fucking time. But they're going to allow things like PvE trinkets and I believe legendaries and stuff to be active in PvP again in Dragonflight, and they're just going to try to balance it, which isn't going to work because they can't balance shit, okay? They can't balance anything, right? They can't balance on one foot, let alone fucking WoW PvP, man. So I don't know how this is gonna, I don't know how it's gonna work out. It's one of those things that's horrible to know because it feels like a ticking time bomb. But I just don't want it to get so ridiculous as to where it is right now in Shadowlands. Because again, after only being back for a few weeks, Arena's a train wreck. Like, it's actually... This is the worst I have ever seen World of Warcraft PvP in terms of just stupid shit happening. Like, remember back at the start of Mr. Pandaria where Stampede, Beast Mastery Hunter's Stampede ability was ignoring resilience and was killing people in 2 seconds? It feels like everyone has a stampede. Like, everybody, apart from, like, casters. It feels like the Covenant abilities shouldn't be in PvP. I'll explain that by using Fleshcraft as an example. Don't get me wrong, Decimating Bolt and the damaging abilities and like the Fair Blink and stuff like that, fair enough. Cool. Awesome, right? Fun little utility things. Things that like spice up your damage dealing capabilities. I know a lot of specs rely on things like, I know that Warlock relies on Decimating Bolt to be useful. Whatever, you know. Those make sense. What doesn't make sense? Fleshcrafting. Why the fuck is Fleshcraft in the game, dude, in arenas? You know what that does in 2v2 arena? If you played 2v2 recently, you Fleshcraft in the opener, and then you AFK behind a pillar for a minute and a half and wait for the rogue to sap you when there's 5 seconds left on your Fleshcraft buff, and then he opens once it's expired. So it just elongates every single arena. Oh no, yeah, don't get me wrong, Clavdivs. It grants CC immunity, and that's great. That's cool, you know, I do like that, but it's trash for the game. Like, the CC immunity, great, man. That's like the cool little bits of like skill moments you can get off there, you know, dodging key CC and stuff like that. That all makes sense to me. That's great. But the shielding ability and it lasting for 2 minutes is obscene. I mean, they either need to change it so it lasts like 15 seconds, which isn't going to happen because we're at the end of the expansion. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Or just completely disable all of the defensive Covenant abilities in Arena. Because that comes next to the egg. Oh yes, the Night Fae egg, which by the way, I faced a whole... Night Phase probably sucks for Holy Priest and maybe most of them don't fucking use it, but again, this is some of the stupid shit that's invaded Arena. Not only through a legendary can Holy Priests revive themselves with the Guardian Angel in Arena. I mean, yeah, you can play around it, obviously, but theoretically they can revive themselves with that shit. And then when they die in the Guardian Angel, they become a Night Fae egg and they get another chance to live. And to me, why is that in the game? The fucking pod, why is that in the game, dude? Like, I get it. It's not even that hard to play around. It's not that hard to counter. It fucks you over like one in 15 games or something, you know? Fair enough, right? It's not that bad. It shouldn't exist, should it? It's dumb. It's just fucking stupid. It doesn't make sense. Why is it in the game, right? These Covenant abilities and the legendary abilities and how mandatory they are, and you have to use them if you want to be competitive, and then how much they just fuck the game up, and the game would just be better off if they just didn't exist or were disabled in Arena. Fair enough, man. PvE is, you know, knock yourself out, but in rated PvP, bullshit like this just shouldn't be fucking happening, in my opinion. So, long story short, if it gets this out of control in Dragonflight, there's no point in me playing the game, because I played the game, you know, mostly for rated PvP, to get my gear, and to play more PvP, and to play Battlegrounds and stuff, you know? So if half the game is just going to suck permanently, because everybody's running around with stupid abilities from legendaries and stuff, and they're not just disabled in PvP, which is the obvious and logical thing that Blizzard should just do, then there's just no point playing the game, man. You can have 10 times more fun in any other game, any other PvP game, you know, and just take a big-ass break from WoW, you know? Now, I think that all of this said, it makes it sound like, oh, I'm really negative about Dragonflight, and I think all this stuff's going to happen. Not necessarily. I think that Blizzard, honestly, actually, for once in their lives, have learned a lot. When they say, we hear you, right? We hear you. They actually mean it now. You know why? Fucking WoW's probably down to like 1.8 million players right now, man. WoW is like suffering right now. And I'm pulling that number out of my ass. Some people say it's around 2 million. Some people say 3. I think that's a little bit optimistic. Some people say it's as low as 1 million on retail, like not counting the classic servers. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know what the case is. But I know for fucking sure that my Battle.net list has never looked more devoid of people playing WoW before, ever, you know? And you can talk about, oh, that's just like attrition of the player base. No, I think that they've just fucked up so much shit with the past like 2 expansions that a lot of people have honestly just left the game. That was literally my feedback on the Shadowland beta. That was that Covenant should be either purely cosmetic, only because it's going to be meta-gamed as shit, or disable all Covenant bullshit in PvP. Straight up, there it is, man. There it is. I completely agree with that shit, Revenants, man. That should be the way that it is. It's just unbalanceable. And, you know, I was kind of laughing, man, at the start of Shadowlands, because Sophie was going to play. And she was like, oh, look, man, you get these Covenants and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, Ian was presenting the Covenants, and one of the questions to him was, oh, how are you going to balance these? Aren't you concerned about balance? Oh, no. It's all grand. We're going to balance them. No, you're not, man. What are you talking about? You're going to balance them? There's only one fucking choice for every spec. pretty much, as far as I can see, every spec goes the same Covenant. There's no deviation from the meta, dude. Like, that's not WoW, man. For how Covenants turned out, I'm honestly astounded that they haven't just muted these abilities, or at least the survivability cooldowns in PvP. So I think that the TLDR is, for me, for Dragonflight, look, dude, the main thing I want for fucking Dragonflight, okay? The main thing I want, the TLDR, is make it alt-friendly. And that actually covers everything all in one. That's the grand thing about saying, just make it alt-friendly. What does that mean? No stupid, massive, ridiculous long campaigns at Endgame that lead to items that are mandatory, because I don't want to do that shit on multiple characters, okay? I just don't want to do that crap. We covered Azerite and Artifact Power to a massive degree, so I'm not going to cover that again, but just make it alt-friendly. Keep it simple. I know that a lot of people are really concerned with Dragonflight, saying, oh, well, there's no new systems. That means there's basically going to be no endgame. What are we going to do? You know, what are we going to grind? What are we going to farm? It's like, well, the same things that you grinded and farmed in BC and Wrath, you know, and made, like, Cataclysm. Like, those were all just, like, fine expansions when it came to the endgame gameplay loop. Cataclysm had some questionable class design, but whatever, man. And PvE items completely ruined PvP. But, you know, fucking, what was released in Wrath that isn't getting released in Dragonflight, man? Really, you know? Like obviously the story would never be beaten from Wrath of Lich King, really, just because there was so much build-up, but I don't know, like, new BG, maybe? Like, Wintergrasp, was that really that big of a deal? You know, I don't know, man. Not really. I mean, there's a new way to queue PvP, and they're actually having a rated solo queue for Arena, right? They're making a rated mode for that in Dragonflight, so that's going to be interesting. It's a new way to queue PvP. New raids, new dungeons, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's basically, it's like a classical expansion, you know? And I hope that they keep it that way, man, because I think that less is more when it comes to WoW this time. I think that they're trying to do too much, and they've been trying to do too much for too long. Trying to keep people logging in with all these systems and weeklies and whatever. And it just ends up driving more players away. And those are all of my reasons I guess those are things that would definitely make me think twice about looking into Dragonflight. So far, so good. I think that if there was going to be a big new system like Azerite or something, like Artifact Power or whatever, I think we would have honestly heard about it by now. But I don't want to speak too soon, and you know what I mean. I don't want to get wiggly just yet. But things just look fine right now. And I think that the less I hear about the expansion, the less I hear about it, the better. You know, which is really, really weird. Like, the less Blizzard talk about it, and the less stuff they, and the less videos I see popping up on my YouTube from fucking Belialar about Dragonflight, I'm like, okay, things are going well. Things are going well. You know, the less Asmongold reacts videos I see to, like, Dragonflight use, I'm like, yes, it's going well. Blizzard are on the right track this time, you know? It's been a couple of expansions, but they're finally they're getting the mojo back, you know? Anyhow, that's all I got, man.